Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. So in the last class, we saw the first Mangala Shloka to this work, Saddarsanam, and we saw that as a remembrance of Brahman. That remembrance is nothing but firm abidance in Brahman, never forgetting the ultimate truth, that non-dual reality that I never forget. And it is never an object of knowledge, but it is the very subject of all beings. So this was Vastu Nirdesha Mangala Charana. Now comes another shloka, another beautiful verse. Again, this is also Vastu Nirdesha Mangala Charanam only. This text, I tell you, is so beautiful, full of beautiful verses. And each verse, this is meant for meditation only, not for any other type of thing. It's meditative verses. This second verse points out that Sat is deathless, immortal reality. The philosophical significance that Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi brings out in this verse will destroy the fear of death. The fear of death that an ignorant person has, that will die. Beautiful verse, let us read. Verse number 2. Mṛtyuñjayaṁ mṛtyubhiyāśritānām. Mṛtyuñjayaṁ mṛtyubhiyāśritānām. ahaṁmatirmṛtyumupaiti pūrvam. ahaṁmatirmṛtyumupaiti pūrvam. atha svabhāvādamṛteṣu teṣu. atha svabhāvādamṛteṣu teṣu. kathaṁ punarmṛtyu-dhiyo'vakāśaḥ. kathaṁ punarmṛtyu-dhiyo'vakāśaḥ. So this shloka can be interpreted from two standpoints. From the nirguna standpoint as well as saguna. We will see both of them. First, saguna. Now this Mangala shloka is again, as I said, Vastu Nirdesha Mangalacharana. It's a statement of fact. First, the saguna standpoint. Here the author is talking about Shiva Puja Mahima, the glory of Shiva worship. How it is useful to a samsari. A samsari is an ignorant person who is not aware of the divisionless Brahman. He is ignorant. He does not know the truth. The truth that was revealed in the first verse, he does not know. He remains in the field of multiplicity, where he only sees differences, and he sees all those differences because he is ignorant. He does not know the divisionless truth. The akhanda Brahman he does not know. The division is the separation of this Jiva, Jagat and Ishvara. And because of that, he remains only in the field of plurality. So such a division is a limitation, means limitation only. Limitation means finitude, and that is mortality, death. Mortality goes with fear. So, vividat vai bhayam bhavati. Division only begets fear. So this samsari, who is in the field of all these differences, is in the grip of fear. He is tormented by the constant sense of insecurity. And to become secure, to become complete, to become full, all his activities are driven by those limitations. So Bhagavan calls this mṛtyubhihi. Bhihi means bhayam, fear. So mṛtyubhihi means fear of death. It is a sense of insecurity. So the constant companion of a samsari is this fear of death. Mṛtyubhihi, this bhayam. That is what is his constant companion. Now, we all know that this body of ours will die. Jatasya hitruvo mṛtyuhu, Bhagavan says in the 2nd chapter of Gita. What is born has to die. If you know that, why should you be afraid? We know that, but we are still afraid. That is because we identify with the body and we don't want to die. So we have this fear, insecurity. The samsari who is assailed by fear, suppose he worships Lord Shiva. What happens then? He is worshipping Lord Shiva, seeking security to get rid of the insecurity. If he does so, what will happen? So Lord Shiva is given this name here, mṛtyuñjayaṁ. The word mṛtyuñjayaṁ means one who has conquered death. Jayaha, so conqueror of death, mṛtyu. Here we see that the meaning as destroyer of division. That's what we will see. So when we hear the word mṛtyuñjaya, immediately most of you would remember the Markandeya Purana. Markandeya was afraid of death, so he went and embraced Shivalinga. And Yamaraj came down to do his assigned duty. But since Markandeya was gripping Lord Shiva, Shivalinga, Yamaraj could not touch him. Shivji said, no, you don't operate here. Okay, so go away. So Lord Shiva kicked away Markandeya's fear of death, and Markandeya became Chiranjeevi. This is symbolic of moksha. The interesting point is, the body will die. Nothing can be done to change the mortality nature of the body. Okay, cannot do anything about it. Atma, for its part, is immortal, so nothing need to be done for the self. But still, the ignorant person being afraid of death, not knowing this, that I am the Atma, I am immortal, not knowing that, identifying with the body, being afraid of the death of the body, he wants to become immortal and he takes refuge in the Lord. So when that happens, what does mṛtyuñjayaṁ do for the worshipper? So it is said, Lord Shiva, that mṛtyuñjayaṁ destroys the devotee. What? And the devotee is tormented by the fear of death. In what should the Lord be doing? You should save the devotee from death. But we say, it is said that Lord Shiva destroys the devotee. What do you mean? Superficially, it seems to be a contradiction. But it has a deep philosophical significance. Lord Shiva destroys the devotee means he destroys the notion that I am a devotee. Why does he destroy such a notion? Because that notion is a misconception. It is mithya. Therefore, by giving the devotee the knowledge, Lord Shiva destroys the notion that I am a devotee, who is different from the Lord that I am worshipping. So Lord Shiva destroys the notion of division. The devotee becomes one with the Lord. Thus, Lord Shiva destroys the devotee. That is how we should understand this. When the notion that I am a devotee is gone, then the notion-based division goes away. I am a devotee is the cause for the division. So I, as a bhakta, I need a deity. A worshipper requires an altar of worship. Then how can you talk of a devotee if you do not have a God other than you? That God is not different from you. Where is this division? Only when there is such a division, then alone you can say, I am a bhakta, I am a dasa, that the Lord is Swami, the master, and all that. So, I am a devotee notion presupposes this division. So, division is the cause of finitude. When division is there, limitation is there. Where there is division, there is plurality. Where there is plurality, one will be limited by atha, the other one. I am the devotee notion presupposes the jiva, jagat, veda. And this leads to limitation, and that leads to mortality, death. So ultimately, death is nothing but the notion that I am a devotee. The notion is death. So Bhagavan says, being a devotee causes death. So if you want freedom from death, you should get out of the notion that I am a devotee. So understand this properly. Okay. The notion I am such and such is called ahaṁkara. Even the notion I am a devotee is ahaṁkara. Ahaṁkara is the wrong notion that I am a devotee. And this misconception is samsara. So Lord Shiva destroys the ahaṁkara. Once the ahaṁkara is destroyed, I am a devotee, that notion also goes. which means devotee, deity, duality disappears. When that duality disappears, what is left behind is ahaminashabhaj, ahamahamtaya, spurati hrit-swayam, paramapurna sat. We saw that in Padeshasara. Ahami nashabhaji. When this ahankara drops, in its place, ahamahantaya spurati hrit-swayam. That paramapurna sat, that shines spurati. This I am, I means consciousness, am means existence. So, existence, consciousness, the non-dual alone remains. Parama Purna Sat, that alone remains. Without any of this Jiva, Ishvara, Veda. And who gives this? Who does this blessing? Mṛtyuñjaya. So the Lord destroys his devotee, means the Lord destroys the devoteehood and gives him the freedom from death. In other words, the Lord takes the devotee and embraces the devotee and makes him one with himself. So the bhakta becomes one with the beloved. Once the devotee and the deity have merged, there is neither the deity nor the devotee. This is the Shiva Puja Phalam. Therefore, he says, mṛtyuñjayaṁ ashritānām. The one who has sought shelter in the Lord, a spiritual refugee, is called ashritah, a devotee. A political refugee goes seeking asylum in other countries. A devotee seeks shelter or refuge at the feet of the Lord. So why mṛtyuñjayaṁ ashritānām, the spiritual refugee who has taken refuge in Mṛtyuñjaya, the Lord who has conquered death, do so. Why does he do so? Mṛtyubhiyā, because death or the fear of death is constantly chasing every jiva. Sri Krishna says, Janma mṛtyu jara vyādhi dukkha. All this is chasing every one of us. Mṛtyu, death, is not going to come one day suddenly. Every moment, kala, time is acting upon every organ, mind. So I am dying every moment. Therefore, Yamaraj is chasing me. Okay, I go to Swarga. I thought that was for eternity. No. I find heaven is also afflicted by kala, time. Even going to Brahmaloka is not a solution. Gita says, Abrahma bhuvanā lokāh punarmṛtyu Arjuna māmupaiti-tu kaunteya punarjanma na vidyate. Going anywhere, you will not be secure. So you come to me, he says, Bhagavan. So the intelligent devotee has understood the world cannot give security or other worlds cannot give him security. So he takes refuge in Kala Kalaha, Mṛtyuñjaya. He takes refuge in the one who has conquered Kala, who has conquered death. So the devotees have sought refuge in the Lord due to fear of death. What does that Lord Shiva do when such a devotee seeks refuge? ahaṁmatirmṛtyumupaiti. The Lord Shiva also destroys. Yamraj destroys in one way, but Lord Shiva destroys in a different way. He is the destroyer of fear of death. Shivji is the destroyer of fear of death. Yamaraj destroys you, the body, but Lord Shiva destroys the fear of death. How does he do that? He does that by destroying your ahankara, ahaṁmatihi, the notion of I. The ahankara that creates all this division, jiva jagat ishvara vedaha, that he destroys. Mṛtyuñjayaṁ, he destroys death. How does he destroy death? He destroys death by destroying the fear. It's not done by any physical weapon. Ahankara is the notion born out of ignorance of the divisionless truth. Saddaršanam, not seeing that Sat is the cause of the division. So that division can be removed only by Saddaršanam. Ignorance is the cause of ahankara, so it will go away when ignorance goes away. How will ignorance go away? Only through knowledge. And knowledge comes only through Guru Shastra Upadesha. So Lord Shiva arranges for such Upadesha. Either he does so as Dakshinamurti. We studied the beautiful text Dakshinamurti Stotram a couple of years back. Or he sends another Guru to us. Upadesha leads to knowledge, which destroys ignorance, and that leads to the destruction of this ahammati, this ahankara, and that results in the destruction of all the divisions. And that leads to destruction of mortality, the fear of death. This route map should be etched in our heart. Ahammatihi mṛtyumupaiti pūrvam. In the beginning itself, we need to get that message. Destruction of ahankara is the first stage, and destruction of fear follows from that automatically. Atha, thereafter, after the destruction of ahankara, what remains? Just aham remains. In the statement, I am a devotee. When the devotee goes away, not all goes away. Only the devotee part goes. That alone goes. But I am, aham remains. What is the nature of that I am? That I am means existence consciousness. It's not ahankara, that is gone. Only the aham part remains. Its nature is amritam. And that is naturally immortal. Mortality was superimposed on that. You need not attain immortality because that is your very nature. You have to only remove the misconception of mortality. Immortality is your own claim. That is your birthright. You just have to claim that. So he says, svabhāvādamṛteṣu, because it is your very own nature. By your own very nature, amṛteshu teṣu. Every devotee, every refugee discovers that. Aham amritaha asmi. I am immortal. That is what he discovers. Once that is discovered, punaha, thereafter, kathaṁ mṛtyuñjayaṁ. Where is the idea of mortality? You have discovered your immortality. Where is the question of being a mortal? When ahaṁkara, ego, which is the basis of fear of insecurity and death, when that is gone, where is the question of bhayam, fear? Anandam brahmano vidvan na vibeti kutaśca-neti. We saw that in Taittiriya. There is no fear, because fear is always from a second thing, from something other than you. Whenever you say, I am afraid, there is always being afraid of something other than you. There has to be a second thing. So, mṛtyuñjayaṁ, the idea, the notion of mortality, kathaṁ avakāśaḥ, where is the scope for that? When the cause, the ahaṁkara, is destroyed, the effect, the fear of death is destroyed. The limited I is destroyed, and so the self-shining, self alone shines forth. The limited I is swallowed by the Lord. mṛtyuñjayaṁ mṛtyubhiyāśritānām ahaṁmatirmṛtyumupaiti pūrvam atha svabhāvādamṛteṣu teṣu kathaṁ punarmṛtyu-dhiyo'vakāśaḥ. The absence of mṛtyubhi, the absence of samsara is Saddarsanam. Just as how it was said, tasya smriti tatra dridaiva nishta. That is Saddarshanam. Every verse in this text is darshana of the reality. This is Saddarshanam. So that is why I said you can pick out any verse and meditate on that Sat. End the ego by surrendering to the Lord and let the self reveal and shine forth. So this is the second Mangala Shloka. Two beautiful Mangalacharana. Both of them Vastu Nirdesha Mangalacharana. So hereafter the teaching begins. Saddarshanam, the discovery of the divisionless existence or truth, and by that discovery of the same, I should know that all divisions are only nama rupa, names and forms of the one divisionless reality. This knowledge will help me to see all divisions are superficial only. They are all superficial names and forms. Jiva is a name and form upon the divisionless existence. Jagat, again, Nama Rupa, given on that superficial division, on that Sat. These are all superficial differences. Similarly, Ishvara also is only a Nama Rupa on the existence. Reduction of all the divisions into Nama Rupa, this is Vedanta Shastra. Mityatva Nischayah, determination of Mityatvam, determination of the falsity of everything. Now, you can arrive at the divisionless truth. We said Jiva superimposition on that, all the name and form of Jiva is on that divisionless truth. Jagat Nama Rupa again on that divisionless truth. Ishvara also, same thing. So you can arrive at the divisionless truth by inquiring into any one of them. You can do Jiva inquiry, Jagat inquiry, or Ishvara inquiry. By analyzing a bubble, you can arrive at the water. By analyzing a wave, again you can arrive at the water. Again, you can analyze the ocean and you can arrive at the water. You need not analyze every bubble, every wave, and each ocean. No. To know gold, you don't need to examine every ornament. You examine one and you will understand the truth of all ornaments. So in the same way, you can pick Jiva Vichara, Jagat Vichara, or Ishvara Vichara. So Jiva Vichara will lead you to Sat Brahma. Jagat Vichara will lead you to Sat Brahma. And Ishvara Vichara also will lead to the same Adhisthana. Self-realization, God realization are one and the same. Therefore, you can choose any of the three analyses. All are equally effective. And point is, Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi's approach is going to be Jiva Vichara. And that has always been his tool. He considered Jiva Vichara is the best method. Any one of the three can be taken, but Jiva Vichara, analyzing into the truth of Jiva, is the best. Jiva, otherwise called Ahaṁkara. Therefore, Ahaṁkara Vichara, who am I? That is the signature of Ramana Maharshi. So, Ahaṁkara Vichara is his recommendation. And what is the reason? Why do we say Ahaṁkara Vichara is most efficacious, most effective than other types of inquiries? There are two reasons for this. One is, among the three, Jiva, Jagat and Ishvara, Ahaṁkara is most intimately available. You don't have to go anywhere. Every one of us, we have this Ahaṁkara. Ahaṁkara is always the first person. Always there with you. Proximity is one reason. The body is right there, the mind is there, and more intimate, more subtle with you is the intellect. And no need to talk about ignorance. Closest to all of us. We are born out of it. So proximity is one reason. And secondly, even though that is closest to us, that is the toughest nut to crack. We have developed the most intense attachment to Ahaṁkara. For one reason, it is closest to us and we have done it so efficiently over so many births. Attachment to Mamakara, possessiveness is also there, but more intense is Ahaṁkara. My love for my individuality is so strong. So it is not something that can be tackled easily. What cannot be tackled so easily has to be attacked directly. When I do Jagat Vichara or Ishvara Vichara, Ahaṁkara is only indirectly attacked. You have to go through all that and come to Ahaṁkara Vichara. You may do Jagat Vichara, Ishvara Vichara so well. And in the process, what happens is, this Ahaṁkara may get a boost. What an intelligent analysis I did. I inquired into the whole world. I investigated into that God himself. So pride and arrogance from scriptural study can also come. Therefore, don't beat around the bush, go to and directly attack this ahankara. Get rid of it. And as I said, ahankara vichara has to be done through Guru Shastra Upadesha. This is not a do-it-yourself DIY project. Quite often, people misunderstand the lack of details of how to do ahankara vichara, because Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi, he does not talk about that. At least not as much as how wonderful it is and what its purpose is. He talks about that, but how to do it, he doesn't. So some people who are followers of Ramana Maharshi interpret it and say, you sit quietly, close your eyes and rack your brain. Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? That would not do it. It might have worked for Ramana Maharshi, but for most of us, the inquiry should be done under the guidance of a qualified teacher and as per the scriptures. Bhagavan did not talk about the process because he wants us to go to a guru who is a Shrotriya Brahmanishta and learn how to do the inquiry. Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi's teaching is experiential. What he has experienced, he has given us. The experience of the truth, he has shared with us. He has not told us how he got that experience. That we have to go as per the Shastra and as how our gurus explain to us. That is very important. We cannot say Bhagavan himself did not have a guru or he did not follow Shastra. So many things, as we will see, and we have also seen in Upadesha. Whatever he has said there was what is said in the Shastras only. He might have had all that prior to coming to this birth. That's all. So, when we study Saddarshanam, we will study it consistent with what is revealed in the Upanishads. So, the goal of the inquiry is to arrive at the divisionless truth by reducing the division to mere mithya nama rupa, the illusory names and forms. So the division, as we see, is Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara. Now, the world itself, so many different things are there, but all of them we're going to club together as Jagat. I am there and the world is there in front of me. And when the world is there in front of me, there has to be a creator, therefore Ishvara. So these three things. So in this verse, in the third verse that we are looking at, he reduces the three divisions to two. The two are subject and the object. The second and the third, Jagat and Ishvara, can be clubbed together and made as the object. The observer is the subject, and other than the observer, everything is observed. So it is the object. So the division is just Jiva, Jagat, subject, object. It's not mentioned Ishvara separately. What is the Adhisthana? The support of this duality. So Brahman is the Adhisthana of Jiva Jagat duality. And what about Ishvara? Ramana Maharshi uses the word Ishvara as a synonym for Brahman. So we have to be careful. Sometimes Ishvara is part of the division as Jiva Jagat Ishvara. Other times only the duality is considered. And its substratum is taken as Brahman. So we just need to be careful in what context the word is used and understand accordingly. It can be the creator, Saguna Brahman, or the Adhisthana Brahman. Ishvara can be one of the members of Jiva Jagat Ishvara, plurality, and as such Mithya or outside as a Satchit Brahman, it is Satyam. Ishvara as object is Mithya. Ishvara as the subject is Satyam. So in the present context, we will understand Ishvara as Adhisthana Brahman. So let us read the third verse. Sarvairnidānaṁ jagato'hamaśca. Sarvairnidānaṁ jagato'hamaśca. Vācyaḥ prabhuḥ kaścidapāra-śaktiḥ. Vācyaḥ prabhuḥ kaścidapāra-śaktiḥ. Citre'tra lokyaṁ ca vilokeitā ca. Citre'tra lokyaṁ ca vilokeitā ca. pataḥ prakāśopyabhavat sa ekaḥ. pataḥ prakāśopyabhavat sa ekaḥ. Sarvaihi, by all philosophers, scientists, everyone, spiritual scientists. Nidānaṁ vācyaḥ. They all have to talk about, have to accept the ultimate nidāna, adhisthana, karana, the support, the lender of existence. Plurality must have one inherent truth. All the multiplicity must have one substratum. Scientists, the material scientists are also trying to find that only, the ultimate cause, the essence of everything. Jagato'hamaśca, both Jagat, universe, the objective world, and aham, the jiva, the subject, ahaṁkara. For this subject-object duality, there must be one truth. The inert world that we see, it cannot create itself. Jiva, you and I, also cannot create because it is part of the creation. Or even more simply, you and I as jivas, we know very well what we can do and what we cannot. So what is that basic cause or substratum from which the plurality has come? So that is what is all philosophers are talking about. Whatever is the origin of creation, we will call it prabhuḥ, kaścid, some ultimate truth, that Lord or Brahman. Prabhuḥ, the Lord. We have to give some name. You call it Krishna, Rama, or Shiva, whatever. This prabhuḥ is apāra-śaktiḥ, is infinite power. It has an infinite power to manifest as plurality. If that non-dual truth appears as the multifarious world, it must have the potential. That Shakti has to be there. You may call it Maya Shakti, you may call it by any name. Apāra-śaktiḥ means limitless power. Ishvara, the Lord, the Creator, He has limitless power. Sarva-shaktiman. So you have to accept that such a non-dual Brahman has to be there. Once you accept that Brahman, Adhisthana, which you may call Ishvara, Jiva will become Namarupa, Jagat will become Namarupa. That Ishvara, creator, must be there. That creator cannot be limited, cannot be finite. He has to create from himself only. There cannot be another. Okay, so he has to be abhinna nimitta upadana karana. He has to be the nimitta karana, efficient cause. He has to be the upadana karana, the material cause also. I'm just using these terms because you have seen it in great detail. So many texts we have covered. In Mundakopanishad, we saw that, given the example of the spider, how the spider weaves the spider web from itself, abhinna nimitta upadana karanam. So, that Ishvara is both the efficient cause and the material cause, and he is all, he is everything. Saha ekaḥ prakāśaḥ. So that one non-dual entity is Chaitanyam, consciousness. Prabhuḥ was said earlier. Here it is said prakāśaḥ, means effulgent. Chaitanya rūpaḥ, nature of non-dual consciousness. How many? Ekaḥ, that divisionless God, who is divisionless Brahman, who is divisionless existence, api, alone, abhavat, became the subject-object duality. Lokyaṁ ca vilokeitā ca. Vilokeitā ca means the seeker, the seer, the observer, and the lokyaṁ means the seen. So that one entity has become the seer and the seen. He has become the observer and the observed. Just as in the dream. We become the dreamer, the observer. The waker is the dreamer also, and he is the one who is projecting. And whatever he is projecting, he is observing. So I, the waker, divide myself into the dreamer and all the dream objects and experiences. So similarly, Brahma eva lokyaṁ cha abhavat. Brahman alone became the observed world. Brahma eva vilokeitā cha abhavat. Brahman alone became the observer, ahaṁkara. How can that Brahman become divided? How can the divisionless divide itself? It is illogical, you may say. Infinite can never become finite. It can never become, is true, but it can appear as though divided. So this as though, as if, you need to understand. Just as I seemingly divide myself to become the dreamer and the dream world, Brahman seemingly divides himself to become Jiva and Jagat. Therefore, ekaḥ prakāśaḥ Brahma Chaitanyam eva lokyaṁ ca abhavat, vilokeitā ca abhavat. It became the Jiva and the Jagat. To convey this example, an example is given. Atra citre'tra, here is a painting, a cloth canvas is there, and on that the painting is there. And there, in the painting, there is a man looking at, let us say, a majestic mountain. There is also the sun in the picture, and he is doing Surya Namaskara and chanting mantras and all that. So this picture has a sentient man, inert objects like the sun and the mountain and all that. So even though I look at one as a sentient observer and the other as inert object, the difference is only at the level of the painting. The substratum behind the sentient and the inert is that one canvas. So this is the example Bhagavan has given. Another simple example, we have used this example before. A movie screen and the TV shows, etc. There is a screen and all that, all kinds of images are projected. There may be the movie hero and the heroine and all that, they are talking, all the dialogues are there, and then all the inert objects are there on the screen, everything is on the screen. All the differences are superficial, all of them are projected on that screen. That substratum is what is the truth, everything else is just images on that screen. So this is how we understand, but please do not extend these examples beyond this idea. What is a substratum and what is projected on that? That is all you should understand. Because the canvas is inert also, the picture is also inert, and the movie screen is inert, and everything, the image is also inert. Don't go stretch those examples beyond its limit. Okay? The idea is Brahman is the support substratum, and all that the Jiva and Jagat are all displayed on that. Brahman is the support that supports the substratum, the foundation, which supports the Jiva and Jagat. So Jiva and Jagat, they do not have independent existence. Only Brahman alone has independent existence. You still see the multiplicity. You transact in the world, but never lose sight of that one Brahman. So this is, that vision is Saddarshanam. So every words I'm going to conclude by saying that is Saddarshanam. That is the beauty of this text, and that is where this text as a meditative text comes into play. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shante Shante Shante. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.